What's up, everybody? We are back. John Delarose here. Delarose.com. That's DELARROZ.com. I write some nice blogs about comic books, and I write my own comic books. You can go check those out. You can actually get a free one for signing up for my newsletter. It's actually my full first volume. So you get a nice trade paperback in digital form, of course, for signing up, which is cool. All right, today we are going over the crossover classics, the Marvel and DC collection. Now, I read the JLA Avengers crossover, which I did a review of, and you can go look at that. I have the big hardcover deal, and in there they actually list all these crossover classics in the back there to talk about the history of how Marvel and DC have crossed over. Now, in the 70s, there was a spirit of cooperation between the two companies. They had a lot of fun, and that kind of deteriorated by the mid-80s, and then kind of came back for a little bit in the 90s, and then disappeared again. So we have this right here. This is the original first crossovers from Marvel and DC that were done, and all compiled in this trade paperback. You see that it's yellowing a little bit. This is an old book for sure. When did this come out? This might have been 1991. I don't know. Let me look at the copyright in here. But this is out of print, and it's unlikely to see print. So if you can find this, yeah, this was made in 1991. Definitely do find this. So you see that the paper is not the best quality. They didn't do the best with trade paperbacks back then. But there are 4 volumes of Marvel DC crossover classics, and this is the first. Read an introduction by my boy Tom DeFalco, my favorite writer of all time, which makes me happy. And then we get Superman versus the Amazing Spider-Man to start, which is by Gary Conway, Ross Andru, and Dick Gordiano. Superman and Spider-Man, so it's not versus anymore, it's together. This is written by Jim Shooter, drawn by John Buscema, Joe Sinnott, Terry Austin, some other help on here. Lots of other help on here. All right. Batman versus the Incredible Hulk by Lenween, and Jose Luis Garcia Lopez with Dick Gordiano on inks. And the Uncanny X-Men and New Teen Titans, which is probably the most famous out of these collections here, by Chris Claremont and Walt Simonson with Terry Austin. All right, so here we go. This was apparently the first Marvel DC publication together, which was The Wizard of Oz. They just put the cover in here to kind of show that. And then we get into the Superman versus Amazing Spider-Man. And they each volume goes into how the cover was made of that. Now, and each volume also has an intro. So Gary Conway has the intro in this, and he wrote this. And it starts out with Superman fighting a robot. Pretty fun stuff. Now, Superman acts like Superman in the classic DC sense, where he's just the awesome superhero that he is. And Spider-Man, they really play up his sort of, I guess, emotional immaturity in this compared to Superman. Of course, he fights Dr. Octopus and takes care of that at first. But, he gets a lot more into the personal drama than Superman does, and it's very apparent the contrast between the two characters right away and how they're done. Now, I love this art. This is very, classic 70s style art, which I think there was just, a flair in the 70s that just, the images popped a little more than the 60s. They didn't overdo the dialogue like a lot of the 60s stuff. And it made for a lot of fun here. So Lex Luthor and Dr. Octopus team up after respectively getting beat down, and Peter and Clark Kent meet. And at first we get what happens is Spider-Man gets imbued with this Krypton stuff, so he's able to beat the crap out of Superman, which is unheard of, and Superman gets hit pretty hard. But then he starts to come back and hit Spider-Man back. And he's like, I better pull my punches or else. So it's acknowledged that Superman has a better power set than Spider-Man has, which makes sense. And we definitely have this era of Superman where he's nearly invincible in the 70s. I mean, it was there's not much that can stop him, just the kryptonite stuff. And they get into it's a pretty long comic, all things considered. But they get into their fight against the villains here. I like Superman beating up Doc Ock here. And this was just a ton of fun. There's definitely a James Bond mustache twirling bit about this where it's like, I'm going to have my laser beam destroy all of the Earth. And that's kind of what they do. And of course they save everything from a tidal wave, and Superman sillily stops the tidal wave somehow. It's not exactly clear, but he does. So it's utterly ridiculous. It's very cheesy and campy. It is that 70s style that you would totally expect from DC. And but I had so much fun with this, I can't deny. That was just a fun read. And then we get into a later time. Now, when was this made? Marvel Treasury Edition 28, Superman and Spider-Man. They have the dates on here? They don't have the dates on here. So I don't know. I know the first one was 1976. I don't know when the second one was made, but Jim Shooter did the writing on it. And I have to say, like, compared to the first one, which was pretty fast-paced, Shooter puts a ton of exposition and dialogue. This really reads a lot like his Secret War 2, which is not everybody's favorite piece out there. I liked his Secret War 1, of course. But there's a lot to it here, and it really bogs things down a little bit. Now, Spider-Man tries to hit on Lana Lang and kind of fails, and kind of shows Peter in his youth. And there's some back and forth where Clark Kent and Spider-Man are kind of swapping spots at the Daily Bugle and at the Daily Planet. So it's pretty interesting on that front. What's interesting also, I should mention about all of these, Buscema's art's also is just fantastic, though. This is really nice stuff. But it should be noted that they don't talk about how their universes are in different universes and have this whole moving over to different Earths and things like that. They just act like they've been in the same universe, and this is the same thing for all four of the stories in here. They act like they've been in the same universe the entire time. And, they even make comments in the story like, wow, I've been in New York and I've seen him in New York before. I wonder why we've never tangled before. They say things like that. It's pretty fun. Now, this one, I guess they were really trying to promote the Hulk and Wonder Woman because of some TV or whatnot in this one. And so they just throw the Hulk and Wonder Woman into this storyline here where the Hulk is kind of rampaging. And what happens, there's this bad guy named, I think his name's FaZe or something like that. He's a Jim Shooter creation, actually. And Parasite, sorry, is his name. And he actually just like sucks energy and power off of people. And then on the other end, on the Marvel end, they put in Doctor Doom, and Doctor Doom's trying to control that power. So the plan is to get the Hulk and Wonder Woman, and Parasite will kind of suck all their power out, and then Doom will use it to take over the world in a silly fashion. And there's some really silly elements of this. Like Doom is he's like, I'm in a Latvian embassy, so Superman, you cannot touch me under the law. And Superman just totally complies like a chump. It's just silly stuff like that, which you only get from 80s comics. Lots of Peter Parker relationship background drama in this, and like I said, Shooter really overdoes the dialogue in this, as you can see. I mean, these are pretty nice panel layouts, pretty well done overall. But it's some very thick lines on the inking, but just so much dialogue. It really slowed things down, especially compared to the first story. It still ended up fun, and I enjoyed the swap of the Daily Planet and the Daily Bugle aspects of things. I thought that was a lot of fun. I thought Peter dealing with Clark's cast and Superman dealing with J. Jonah Jameson was very interesting on that front. So it was pretty good to go. Next, we have Batman and the Hulk. And why did they choose Batman and the Hulk? I have no clue, except for both of their names are Bruce. So I think they thought, hey, Bruce Banner, Bruce Wayne, let's do this. And it starts out with a standard splash page, like an early era type of splash page, where, they show the later action right away. And we have the Joker being absolutely silly. And this is the most bizarre tale out of the three. I gotta say, it's probably the worst written out of the four. Also, I should say, not three. But you get some classic Joker action in here, and it's still fun. So you get this big robot-y thing, and Bruce Banner's working on a gamma ray type experiment, also, and Batman's investigating into it. It's all right. I mean, it's a thin plot. and they try to throw a lot of weird explanation dialogue into it to make it work, and it doesn't quite. But it's okay. Eventually, the Hulk gets mad and starts. He gets manipulated by the Joker originally because the Joker's like, "I'm your friend," and the Hulk fights on his behalf, fights Batman a little bit, and eventually they team up together to fight these bad guys here. And this bad guy, I'm not familiar with whoever this guy is. It's like kind of a half robot, half immortal being thing. I don't know. But he apparently gets some power from the gamma ray device on behalf of the Joker, and he gives the Joker at the end the power to like transform all of reality, and the Joker becomes like this immortal god for the last like 8 pages. And you see the layouts are absolutely ridiculous and silly. You get a little Alice in Wonderland montage, and then the Batman just kind of keeps taunting the Joker until the Joker realizes he doesn't like being immortal and goes completely insane and gets locked up. So again, the plot was very thin, and the Joker kind of stopped himself, and it kind of didn't make sense. So, but it was still fun. I mean, you know, it was fun. That's all you can ask for, right? So enjoyable on that front. And then we get to the good writing again. All right. So yeah, so this is some of the best stuff. And you know, Walt Simonson is at his peak on art right here. Chris Claremont's like really doing his thing in the middle of X-Men right here. And it's really cool. I'm not like the most familiar with the Teen Titans, but you know, it still works out pretty well. You know, if you just kind of know the basics. The X-Men, of course, are starting out doing their training. The Teen Titans get a vision about like some evil force coming in. It's Jean Grey, you know, who's supposedly dead at this point in the X-Men timeline, and she's the Phoenix. And the Teen Titans kind of, you know, want to investigate into the X-Men because of this, and so they start, you know, going after each other. And Deathstroke gets involved, and a mystery sort of ensues. Just beautiful art all the way around. Oh my gosh, this is good stuff. Look at this cool little cosmic scene with Jean Grey. I mean, that is just masterful cool. All right. So what happens is Darkseid kind of gets involved here. We get a little Cheesecake Starfire action. And Darkseid realizes he can harness the Phoenix Force and, you know, take over the universe, just like all the other silly stories in this volume. And we just get some fights and that are interesting, and then we get the team up, of course. And they end up, look at that, here's the big wall. Oh my gosh, what a cool double page spread. I'd love to own this original art. Look at that. Sweet. Okay. And you know, the Phoenix Force really is just unthinking thing that is kind of not really real at this point. And another beautiful spread. We finally get the team up. We're going to work together. And there's like some strange cosmic chair that allows them to transport elsewhere. Pretty silly comic fare, but that's cool. Beast Boy turns into this giant dragon, which is awesome. And they realize they can take them on. And so eventually, you know, it looks like they're going to lose and all that, of course, like a normal comic book. And they get... They figure out the Phoenix Force because of the, like, you know, her love for whoever, and then they end it, and so it's pretty good. That plot out of the 4 probably made the most sense and was the most well done. Of course, is Chris Claremont, so that makes sense. But I think I enjoyed the first crossover with Superman versus Spider-Man the best, even though it was the cheesiest and pretty thin. You know, it just had something to it that had a fun factor that beat the others out in a lot of ways. So overall, this was worth a read. Again, there's 4 volumes of this. I don't know, you know, what's in the next ones really so much, but I got them all. You know, they're all out of print and getting harder to find, so I would recommend picking these up if you can find it at a reasonable price. 8 out of 10 stuff, totally worth the read, enjoyable, Epic Collection sized, pretty much, because these are all like 4 full graphic novels thrown into here, which I love. You know, the quality of the paper is not the best, but what can you do? Still worth the read. Hit that like and subscribe button. Let me know what you think, and we will be back soon.